So there.
So there.
So there.
So there.
Let me know your thoughts.
So there.
So there.
So there.
Let me know your thoughts.
Why do you keep saying let us know your thoughts?
Let me know your thoughts to me is a nice lead-in for So There. So There. Welcome to episode 16 of
So There.
I'm Tom Karamitis.
And I'm Gary Doyle. And you're probably wondering right now why we didn't say where we work. Well, and I know you're all wondering that, but there's a reason. I'm going to read you a letter that explains that reason. All right.
Whoa.
Now, I know you're used to viewer mail at the end of the podcast, but this piece of mail had a suggestion that we just incorporated, so I'll read the letter now. This is from a listener and a dear friend of Gary Doyle's. He allowed us to use his real name. His name is Tom Lichtenheld. Tom is a New York Times best-selling children's book author. At any given time, if you look at the Sunday New York Times book review, he'll have one in the top 10 of the New York Times bestsellers. He has for years. He's hugely successful, hugely talented, has thrown away, he used to be an art director, a creative director in the advertising business, has thrown away more one-show gold pencils than most creatives have pencils, actual pencils. And Tom is also one of the greatest guys there is. So Tom sent us a letter. He couldn't be here on the show today because he didn't want to damage his brand. But Tom sent us a letter saying to sothere@yahoo.com. That's the email address. I usually listen to newsy podcasts while working, but the news is so depressing today that I took a break and listened to So There, which was pretty darned funny. 3 questions. Number 1, why do you guys identify your places of employment? It's irrelevant to 95% of your material and waters down your authenticity.
Totally agree.
Just be you, and while you're at it, be best. That was a political reference there. Tom Karamitis is not comfortable with those.
Tom Karamitis chooses to make So There a political free zone.
Number 2, from Tom Lichtenheld, will we ever hear the transcribed phone message? This was it last episode? Yeah. I tried to read a transcribed phone message from the new voicemail system where I work, and I couldn't get through it because it was so funny. I will try again next episode because we have a very special guest this episode that we'll introduce. You can only fit so much into an episode of So There. Number 3, more symbol. Tom ends with, seriously, keep up the good work. We need it.
That's an excellent letter. Lots of useful information for us. Encouragement.
Yeah, better than most of the letters we get, which are borderline abusive or at least, at the very best, tolerant of our podcast. So yeah, actual praise is welcome.
We move into episode 16, and Gary and I thought this was a really good opportunity to reflect on where we've been and where we're going, and the 4 of you that are still out there that are still listening to us. We realize that So There is quite the cutting edge podcast, and we decided to have our huge analytics team put their minds towards unearthing viewer data.
They're offshore, right?
Well,
they're
some of them
24-hour analytics team in India.
Well, there's the offshore team, and there's the team that's at the lake house in northern Minnesota. But Gary and I needed someone to help us understand our global reach. So we really basically wanted to find someone who understood international stuff. All right. So what I did was I Googled companies that had cool global names. I figured that would be a good entree into finding the right kind of person. Found a company in Chicago called Daily Planet. All right.
Whoa.
Planet, global, right? So I contacted this company, Daily Planet, and got a hold of a producer there, a woman named Sara Wolfson. All right, she works at Daily Planet. All right, so I figured she must be an international expert and perhaps can help us dig through some of the reams of data that we had here in our So There analytics.
And why are we having international expert Sara Wolfson on the show? What did our analytics uncover? Would you like to share that with our...
Well, much to our surprise, that we have listeners in all corners of the globe, including many non-English speaking places like Singapore and Thailand, all right, Denmark and the Netherlands. So I thought...
Now, wait a minute. Hold on a second. I think you should share the list of the countries that listen to us.
I started to do that. All right, I started to mention them. Singapore, Netherlands, Italy, China, France.
China!
That's what you were going for. You wanted me to say China.
China!
All right. So, Sara, welcome to So There.
Thank you. Long-time listener, first-time caller. Love the show.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Gary and I, obviously, we're not the sharpest tools in the shed. We look for some insight from you about any of these countries that we've mentioned. Can you shed any light on why, as an example, somebody from the Czech Republic would be a fan of So There?
Yes. So just a little bit of background on my credentials as a social scientist. I was a sociology major in college. Actually, my university called it a concentration because major is very gauche and pedestrian. So I like to feel that, because of that degree that I got 20 years ago, I am fully qualified to really speak to any one of these nations.
Absolutely. Have you ever had a Singapore sling cocktail?
I've had a lot of cocktails. It's entirely possible I have had a Singapore sling and just kind of blacked out a little bit.
Perfect.
So you brought up the Czech Republic. Obviously not to dive into stereotypes, but, I am a Jew and we do really understand checks and money of all kind. So I can really say that as a people, what really resonates most with this podcast for them is the sort of deep down financial issues that you bring up on a regular basis. It's like the Wall Street Journal, but more auditory and not talking about Wall Street so much.
And with occasional symbol crashes.
Right. Well, there's crashes on Wall Street as well.
Very good.
So it all ties together.
Are those financial issues like the gambits that Gary Doyle employs to avoid paying for Metra rides? Is that one of the financial issues, or are you thinking of other things?
That's just cheating the system. That's not so much a financial issue.
That's more of the Gary Doyle brand.
Whoa, Sara, bringing the judgment. Coming in hot. Coming in hot.
It comes from my heart and it comes right out of my mouth like vomit. But heart blood vomit.
What about some of these countries in the Far East? Singapore, China.
Well, China,
Thailand.
I mentioned as a Jew, specifically one from New York, their cuisine is something that I am intimately familiar with. I was practically weaned on Chinese food. So I feel like when you get to know a new culture, one of the best ways to explore that is to really dive into their cuisine. It's basically their heart on a plate. And kind of by osmosis when you do that, you suck up the culture through your taste buds. And when I said heart on a plate, not in a Daenerys Targaryen eating an actual horse heart, because that would be disgusting.
You know a lot about China. You've had Chinese food.
Yeah.
China's a big country.
Right.
We don't know how many, or is it a continent? It's a country.
It's a country on a continent.
Thank you. But we don't know how many listeners we have in China. Our analytics don't tell us that.
There's no way to even know how many people are in China. That's just science.
Despite it being a large country, what would you say that our impact on Chinese culture would be from the listenership we have there?
I would say minimal. Very minimal.
Don't you think Gary Doyle and I offer hope?
To what?
To the great masses.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
That would work in Thailand too?
We'll go with that. Well, Thailand, my experience with Thailand is a little bit different. If needed, and I'm going to assume not now, but if any of your listeners would like me to at a later date and time, I could sing the vast majority of the score from The King and I, which, as we all know, is set in Siam, which was the precursor to Thailand. So I really feel like I have more of a historical basis with Thailand than I do with China, which is more of a current situation. So I'm looking at Thailand from more of that perspective, the history of it. And I can say that they do have a history, a very rich one, full of music and dance and an English tutor.
And as we've just demonstrated a few minutes ago, music is a big part of So There, with the occasional cymbal crash, right? Plus our memorable theme song. And, of course, Meat Boat.
Yeah.
I wonder if our theme song and Meat Boat inspire music and dance in China. What do you think, Sarah?
I think if you're looking for where your musical influences have the most influence themselves, I think you're really going to want to look more to Australia than any of the other nations.
Interesting.
Because I would say, when I first heard Meat Boat, for example, I would say that I was floored.
Were you moved by the meat?
I'm often moved by meat on a variety of different levels. This meat in particular just really spoke to me, and I would say it turned me upside down. And as we know, Australia is, on the other side of the planet, is upside down. And again, that's just science and geography.
Well, Aussies are also well-known aficionados of foghorns.
I would also say that the Australians would probably be a huge fan of you, as we've already established you are a known thief of Metra's fees. And
let it be known right there that Sarah is making eye contact with Gary Doyle. Continue.
Well, I'm trying to, but he's assiduously looking away from me.
I'm looking away.
And as of course Australia, was originally a penal colony, so penal. This is not a Meat Boat scenario.
Tom said no naughty words.
Penal's not naughty.
Right. They're all, historically criminals. If we have any Australian listeners, I'm just calling it like I see it, even though this is obviously a podcast, so I can't see anything.
So if the Metro was in Australia, they would go out of business. They would make no money because nobody would pay.
Yeah. I don't understand how they have a functioning economy at all.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. I wonder if we'll hear from our Australian listener about this.
Or our French listener. I often thought of the French at the end of the Meat Boat episode when we played Reflections of Meat. I thought that really, to me, if I were French, that would speak to me.
On the subject of France, I think as a culture, the one thing that stands out to me about the French is surrender. They
the Cheap Trick song?
No. Just, if there's an army at the door, they'll surrender. I know that when the Italians were attacking, they surrendered, even though I don't think they ever even crossed the border. That's just capitulation is kind of their thing. Right. So they're really just open and willing to surrender and let your podcast just wash over them with the fire and fury of your words, your feelings, and your emotions.
I wonder if the reason that France won the World Cup is because Croatia thought they would surrender. Croatia walked into that championship game thinking they would surrender, and they didn't. Yeah. And therefore, France crushed Croatia. Just a thought, just a theory.
It's also possible it's because there are not actually any French people on the French team, so they are less apt to actually surrender.
We told you Sarah was a global expert. Mm-hmm. And she is.
No doubt she is. I would like to, though, also point out something for Gary. Gary is very modest, but one of the countries that shows up on the list is Ireland. There's no doubt that Mr. Doyle would be a folk hero to our Irish contingent. That's a heavy weight on your shoulders, Gary. I just want to let you know that I think you wear it well.
Thank you, Tom. 100% Irish here. Gary Doyle. County seat, County Tipperary in Ireland is the home of the Doyle family clan. Everything there is named Doyle. Doyle's dry cleaners, Doyle's massage parlor. I'm making that up. But yeah. Yeah, and I've actually been to Ireland, and I can't speak to so there's influence there, but I'm sure it's vast. I'm sure they play it over the loudspeakers in all the pubs.
And I would also mention it's apparent by not being there that the Greeks have not embraced Tom Karamitis the way the Irish have embraced Gary Doyle. Greece does not show up on the analytics.
Interesting.
That's probably more a failing in you than in Greece per se.
Well, I would venture to guess the Greeks probably at this point can't afford internet access.
That's
You know.
possible.
Because they always seem to be stumbling from financial crisis to financial crisis.
Yes. Yeah.
Sorry, I got a little angry there. That drags down our economy, by the way. Every once in a while, the market goes to hell, and they say, well, it's because of the Grecians, as President Bush called them. Well, it's because of the Grecians.
Sarah, any other, some of these countries to me I know very little about. The Netherlands, and why they would react so vociferously. So why they? I mean, as far as I know, there are parades for so there in some of these places.
Well, so my experience with the Netherlands is a little more tangential. When I was in 7th grade, I played the lead role in Peter Pan. So I feel like my experience as Peter Pan with Never Never Netherlands pretty much let me really understand the heart of the country. And I think that there are so many lost boys in the Netherlands that your irreverent guy-on-guy talk probably really just resonates with that demographic.
If our podcast can make it so that one lost boy in the Netherlands is found, I feel like we will have been a success.
We've done something right. We've given back a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Almost as special as the debut of Reflections of Meat. So we will move on to, I think we have a couple of I decrees. I have a I wonder why, but we will let Sara, rare privilege, into the inner sanctum she comes with an I decree.
This I decree is something that's near and dear to my heart. I've always considered myself to be a strong advocate of the social contract that we make with everyone around us when we ride the CTA. And I have for many years now been carrying on a strong campaign against a scourge on our society. And that scourge is manspreading, along with its lesser known female counterpart, which I call riding side saddle, which is when a lady will sort of cross her legs and lean them to the side, so she is likewise taking up a second seat. I think society demands swift justice, and if you see someone who is taking up more than their fair share on a CTA seat at rush hour, if it's the middle of the day or late at night and the place is empty, get comfortable, have at it. But I feel that you should be allowed to immediately, if it's a gentleman, give him a knee to the D. If it's a lady, a punt to the Georgia O'Keeffe, and let them know that behavior is not tolerated, accepted, or allowed for in a society such as ours. And also don't put your bag on the seat next to you because it just makes you a big fat jerk.
Sarah, bringing some aggression to so there. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Bringing some serious commuter heat.
Yeah. I'm well familiar with the manspreading phenomenon, but not the side saddle phenomenon. I've not witnessed that, or perhaps I'm not paying attention.
I find that the women who are most guilty of it have what I describe as I'd like to talk to the manager haircut. They don't want another human being touching them. In which case, take an Uber, drive, ride a bike. You have options. But if you take the CTA, you're gonna be, stuck next to some gross, sweaty person who's gonna have his giant frickin' stomach press into the small of your back, and you're just gonna feel like you need an emotional shower and also a physical shower.
I have an I decree. I am a Cubs fan. I'm a big Cubs fan. And if you're a Cubs fan, Tom Karamitis is not a Cub fan. He's a Brewers fan and is inexplicable rooting for Wisconsin teams, and even though he's not from Wisconsin, but that's a topic for another podcast. Sarah, just curious, are you a Cubs fan? Or
I don't sports.
She doesn't sport. She made sport a verb. Good. When the Cubs win, for those not familiar, they fly a W flag up on Wrigley Field. And so some fans have taken to flying a W flag outside their outside their home. That's fine. I'm one of them. I have a W flag. But Gary Doyle will hang the W flag when the Cubs win. When they lose, I take it down, just like they do at Wrigley Field. But there are many Cub fans in Gary Doyle's neighborhood who leave the W flag up all year, all season long. Win or lose, it's up there for 6 months.
Just because they think it's just a flag.
They think it's a flag. I decree that if you have a W flag, you shall fly it when the Cubs win. And when they lose, take it down. Otherwise, you are not a true Cubs fan. You are a bandwagon jumper. Is there.
I have a follow-up question, if I may. Is there an acceptable length of time that you can leave up the W before you need to take it down? Is it have to be taken down in advance of the next game?
No, great question. You take it down when they lose the next game, if they lose it. But you wait until they lose it, then you take it down.
Gotcha.
I've got kind of I'm toying between an I decree and an I wonder why. I guess this will be an I wonder why. Lately, I've noticed a preponderance of depressing shock value commercials that have been on the air. And I'll give you several examples. I tend to go home at night and I turn on CNN, and there's a commercial running right now, and they start out showing a Happy Meal box, and then they showed, it's like deformed chickens. And then after that, the next commercial break, there'll be a commercial for the ASPCA, and they'll show a bunch of tortured animals. Then there'll be an anti-smoking thing, and I'll have to look in somebody's tracheotomy hole, or a man taking his dentures out of his mouth. And then finally, the commercials for children's hospitals with these poor kids who have cancer. And I often wonder, I know the purpose of these commercials is to get me to send money to the organization, support the organization. But a lot of times it bothers me enough that I just want to change the channel. So I don't think it's having the desired effect on Tom Karamitis, because I find them just upsetting. And there's so many of them lately. I don't know if our listeners, our viewers, or Gary and Sarah have had a similar observation.
Well, I do not. In fact, that commercial was seen by my bride, Lisa, and Lisa informed me the other day that based on seeing that commercial, she did not want me to buy like Purdue chicken from the grocery store. She wants to buy organic, free-range chicken because she was horrified by the conditions of the chickens.
I will say, for myself, speaking only for Sara Wolfson, I'm not sure if I am legally obligated to refer to myself in the third person, but these attempts to...
We refer to ourselves in the third person all the time. So this is a safe space.
Thanks.
For referring to yourself in the third person.
Personally, I think these attempts to shame me into better eating habits in any way, shape, or form, this sort of my body is a temple, treat it well, and others will worship at it kind of thing, backfires completely. I don't care. I don't care how cute an animal was when it was alive. I love looking at teacup piglets wearing rain boots and scampering around. I will eat bacon all day, every day, until I die of a heart attack, and I will consider it a life well lived. I would not eat one of my cats, but I might eat a cat. I don't know. If I was in a place where that was a thing.
I would totally eat a cat. But I don't like cats, so I would eat one.
I would eat dog. I would never eat cat.
Do you like dogs?
I would go to your house and eat your dog.
Voltan the Unyielding?
Yeah.
That will never make it to the final version.
What breed of dog is it?
Pug.
I don't know if they would be good eating. I don't know if they have enough meat on their bones.
If you're hungry enough, any dog is good eating.
Touché.
Well, folks, this has been the longest So There ever. And for that, we'd like to thank Sara Wolfson, our international expert.
I'm loquacious.
Yes, thank you, Sarah. Magnificent job. We hope you come back. Thank you, Tom Lichtenheld, for the letter and the inspiration. Thank you to John Binder, our engineer, Marco Morales, our other engineer, Jim Furr, our designer.
And until next time, we'll see you back here on
So There!